Welcome to Talking New York Real Estate with Vince Rocco. Our show is all about the exciting world of real estate and in particular, how it relates to the luxury New York marketplace. But if you are not planning a real estate transaction in New York, we still have plenty of information you can use no matter where you are. Now, here's our show. Okay, good morning, everybody. We are here at Inman Connect in New York City. Great big event, 2026, at the Midtown Hilton Hotel. And I'm here, we're talking live, by the way, and I'm here with two recent recruits to Brown Harris Stevens, superstars in their own right from other companies that joined us recently. So welcome, Teresa, and welcome, Dan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I want to talk a little bit about, your past, where you've come from, what makes you successful. I was interviewed a couple of weeks ago on my own show, and the host asked me to talk about my background and how do you prepare for a real estate career? Because people, think they want to get into real estate from any profession, and now the trend seems to be right out of college. People are jumping into the job. It isn't so easy, right? There's a learning curve. We have to have people skill. We have to have a little bit of, business savvy. So Dan, let me ask you. You came up to residential real estate after a senior financial career in real estate finance, and then at companies like Amazon and Peloton. What skills from that world most directly, benefit your clients today, either sellers, buyers, renters? What do you bring to the table with that kind of background and experience?
Yeah, thanks, Vince, for having us. With thinking about my past and my career, what led me to here, I started my career in real estate banking, working with all the big home builders, pioneering the single-family rental IPO process. And so there was a lot of financial acumen and working closely with C-suite executive and board members at that stage, which ultimately led me to, careers at Amazon and Peloton, where I led worldwide finance and also helped lead corporate FP&A over at Peloton. But I think two of the things that were most core to that is thinking several steps ahead and also working really hard under pressure. When you're working closely with the boards and you're working closely with the C-suite, every decision that you make can have a tremendous impact on your
Absolutely.
So,
and coming from a strong, corporate background, as I did, you come into real estate, there is no structure. It's like, here's your desk, here's your phone, here's your computer, make it happen. Welcome to the family is what I got told when I first joined, and I'm like, okay, what do I do? So how do you take that background and that successful background with all the corporate stuff you did and relate that to people today? Are they interested in that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think people are very interested in learning about, past experiences, understanding how you're operating with strict financial rigor, making sure that you're principled in terms of your ethics and how you're operating today. I think that we're in a world in which people are moving very fast, and it's easy to forget what matters most and what's important. So being able to be calm, collected, and bring a data-driven approach, I think, is essential. So what does the buyer demand model look like? What is the psychology behind buyers and sellers? How do you operate in terms of a really fast-paced movement where homes are moving within a weekend if they're ready to go and they're excellent? How do you do that and operate in a way that's calm with one of the most important financial purchases that you'll ever make in your life? And so bringing the skills and that subset of things that I experienced in my prior life really helps people feel at home and feel comfortable, because for them, this is a major purchase, and sometimes it's,
Absolutely. Yeah. It's interesting how you say we live in a very fast-paced life. It's early morning here in New York, and before I even got here, I had like a full day of stuff to do in my apartment. Housekeeper was coming. I didn't remember yesterday that the next day was Tuesday. When she comes, I'm like, oh my God, I had to get everything ready. And then here we are. It's kind of like, what's next? Mm-hmm. Teresa, let me ask you. So you're young still, but you've spent over a decade in real estate with over $100 million in closed sales. That's unbelievable in this market, in this town, as we were talking off camera, how difficult it can be here in New York City. How does a deeply local perspective, you're a New Yorker as well, you live and work here, shape the advice that you give either buyers or sellers today? Do they look at you as a local person with credibility more than if you didn't live here?
So that's a really good point. You mentioned a little bit how, I guess, the millennial demographic is getting into real estate as their first job versus having a different career in a different industry, just to give them a little bit more background. So I actually got into real estate 2 years after graduating college, and I think in being younger in the industry, you have time on your side. So I had the time to take a stroll in a neighborhood at all different hours of the night, check if the lights are on at night, check if a building actually has people occupying it during dinner time, understand if a development is really as sold as they say it's sold. So I kind of had the time to just be boots on the ground and be everywhere in that neighborhood to then be able to speak to and give advice to clients who maybe want to be buying or selling or investing in a certain neighborhood. So I think just doing this full time and throwing myself into it and actually having a pulse of those hyper local neighborhoods and enclaves gives me a different leg up versus somebody who might be hiding behind the computer or a little bit strapped with time and commuting to all these different areas. I'm able to kind of speak to what's happening, what's changing, even attending like local, like the what are they called? The community board meetings.
Yes.
Sure.
So I'll just,
Sure.
on a day, I'll find the time to attend a community board meeting, understand if there's any rezoning, any issues, any changes to construction, any vetoes to new construction. And then I'm able to bring that to clients and be their eyes and ears where they have full-time jobs. They can't do this on a Tuesday and take hours out of their day.
Correct. We always say, in corporate America, where I'm from, access to data or as much data as you can get to is good. It's information. In real estate, it's the knowledge and the credibility that we have or acquire over a period of time that we can bring to our sellers, to our buyers, to our landlords, to our renters, whomever they may be, and they look at us, towards us with a lot more credibility. Dan, you have had an enormous, sales record in real estate, multi-breaking sales. You were named recently the best realtor in all of Westport. Tell us how.
Yeah, I think a lot of it.
I mean, that's pretty
Congrats.
significant.
That
Okay.
is
Thank
awesome.
you, thank you. And I'm a client-first approach for me.
Yeah.
I put people first. That's why I got into the business. That's why I keep doing what I do. I want to make sure that I put people first. It's not about myself. We're part of a bigger community. So I think there's several things that help get me here. So it's strategy, service, and execution. So there are a lot of realtors out there who we love and we appreciate that are good at marketing. They're great with people, but there's not a lot of that strategy rigor out there. And so being able to understand what is in.
So you would agree that that's what stands you out among a very crowded, busy field? I mean, in New York City, we have the same thing. There are probably way too many agents that we
Yes.
could ever possibly need. So is that your way of standing out?
Yeah, I think so. I think that that's a core element of it. I'm very lucky that I have a internal team that is very dedicated and driven towards looking at data, buyer models. We are looking at how a home has a soul. So there are so many realtors out there that are just about getting the homes onto the market, listing it, putting it on, and having people come to them. I think it's interpersonal relationships, making sure that you're deeply connected in the community and with people, being community driven, so being out there and active and helping other people understand why this home fits their needs. And then also understanding what is so essential in terms of the process at this point in their life. Are you looking for something now? Do you have the time to wait? What does waiting mean for you in terms of what the pricing may be in the future and what are the downside risks? So it's really about being interpersonal with your clients and helping them understand why this makes sense for them at that point in time. But also we have an excellent team that thinks about design work as well in terms of the process. And so what does that mean in terms of having your home have a soul and making it stand out against other?
Have a soul, isn't that something?
Yeah.
And stand out.
Yeah.
That's absolutely important. You worked in advertising before you came into real estate, and what jumped off the page to me is that WNBC.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a news junkie and still
Yeah.
am, and if I could be that next anchorman on television, I would, give up my whatever to do that. Just joking, but not really. So that background in storytelling or helping the people on air tell stories and stuff, how do you think that affects your real estate career today here in New York? Again, understanding the data, understanding what makes people tick. How do you think that translates to your customers, buyers, sellers, etc.?
Sure. Yeah. I think there's a lot of transferable skill sets in that. So when you're working in TV and broadcasting advertising, you're selling those commercials in between breaks.
Absolutely.
And sometimes the data behind those commercials is skewed and it's not real, tangible asset to really sell. And so when I was doing this, I'm like, oh, okay, so like 100 people watched the show and your commercial was seen in this many households. I felt like it was a little bit too fluffy. And so it kind of segued my desire to want to sell something more tangible, like real estate. It's an asset that you can look at it, you can knock on the four walls, you can see the improvements. So I took that whole concept of selling airspace to real tangible real estate. And then the stories behind the brands becomes the stories behind the sellers. It becomes the stories of the neighborhood. And you'll notice every neighborhood has a different vibe, has a different feeling that you have to kind of put into words and visuals to help somebody who's prospectively considering investing there understand if it's worth it for them, if it's the right spot for them.
Music to my ears.
Yeah.
I mean, I couldn't have said that any better. And when I teach social media in continuing ed, we focus on branding. We focus on the stuff that really is going to make you stand out as an individual, regardless of what it is you're doing. All right, we've got to take a quick break. We're coming right back. Don't go anywhere. This is Talking New York Real Estate on the More Network. We'll be right back.
The Everset provides full-service staging and furniture rental solutions in the New York area. For more information, please visit us at staging.theeverset.com or email us at staging@theeverset.com to request a free proposal.
Hi, it's Stephen Bailey from Roadway Moving and Storage. Listening to Vince Rocco, you know the right partner makes all the difference. At Roadway, we deliver an experience your clients will love. For specialized services and white glove care, choose Roadway. Want to learn more? Email me at steven@roadwaymoving.com or visit roadwaymoving.com.
Okay, everybody, we are back. So, Dan, with your deep experience in valuation and capital markets, okay, I mean, that's really important. How do you help clients think differently about pricing and timing and long-term value? You know, in these days, in this market, buyers and sellers are still trying to, figure out what long-term value is, right? It's very important. You buy something, you want to make sure that when you do sell it someday down the road, it's going to appreciate. How do you make them do that with your very intensive work experience in that valuation and capital market structure?
Yeah, absolutely. I think what's really incredibly important in thinking about pricing and strategy and thinking about long-term value is having your client, sitting down with your clients and having an honest conversation about what's most important to them, what their timing looks like. It can't be thinking about things that obsolete. It's very situationally based. And so do your clients need to buy now? Do they have the luxury to wait? If they wait, what is the risk with waiting? There's a psychology and there's an element behind how we think about the market and how we think about making our decisions and when the time is right. I like to help my clients think about things from an investment standpoint, but also a livability standpoint. Do they need to live in this house now because they're relocating for work? Do they need to make a move right now because they have a family situation that's changed? Or is this something for them that is just a lifestyle change? And each of those elements is incredibly important when thinking about how they are operating, with what threshold they are operating under, and what's important for them from a. Sorry, I lost track.
So let me ask you something. So when they finally do make that decision, after your counsel and your expertise, do they feel good about it? Whether they were waiting, whether they were moving quicker or whatever, do they really feel good with the final decision that they make to do something?
Absolutely. And I think more times than not, I could shoot myself in the foot. I'm always erring on the side of caution of letting my clients know where I think pricing should be. And I'm always competitive. I want to make sure that my clients are getting the best price possible, but I also am a winner. I want to win. I want to win every single deal that I'm at. And so I think what's important is making sure that I'm networking, being on top with my respective agent on the other side of the deal, but also helping my clients understand what the market is and what might potentially be in the pipeline and if this home really fits their family's needs or their own individual needs. So
right, and there are things for people and there are things that won't work. So we all know what that drill is. Teresa, you often, on the heels of this conversation, you all often talk about helping clients build long-term and generational wealth.
Right.
Right. What does that actually look like in practice in a city as complex as New York City?
Yeah, so I think it's really telling right now when you look at the wave of different demographics that have obviously invested or bought real estate, and maybe they go on to excel in their career, move out of New York, rent out their apartments, have a family, have kids, and now they're stuck with like, who's going to take on this asset? Who's going to manage it? How does it get basically transferred in a strategic way? So right now, I think that there's a really big niche of trust in estates going on. And so I'm seeing like a lot of kids graduating from predominant universities in New York City, and their parents are buying them apartments so that once their career's up and going, they're not caught in this rat race of high increasing rents on free market apartments. And so they see buying a piece of real estate for their kids as they start their career as a kickstart. And then those kids maybe move to different cities, excel, and they'll rent out that apartment. And then they're putting it in the form of an LLC or a trust so that it can be transferred without maybe triggering larger taxes or larger issues that eat away at their profit. So it's the smart families that are looking to diversify and buy real estate, they see it as a vehicle to pass on wealth. Because let's be honest, New York City, it always has an appreciation. If you bought something in the 90s, if you held it for 30 years, if you held it for 10 years, you're seeing appreciation. Even if the stock market's doing fantastic, it's just another way to diversify. And so a lot of my clients in the last 5 years, I think in that 30 to 40 age category, they're either done renting, they're buying, or their parents are helping them buy, or their parents are moving back into the city because they're done paying high taxes in the suburbs, and they're seeing this apartment as something that they can pass on, and it's going to be income producing for generations to come.
Yeah, we did a show a couple of weeks ago when we talked about the different ages, and the millennials are stepping up these days, really stepping up, really buying real estate, understanding the value, wanting to build that generational wealth for the future. And we're talking about 30s, up to 40 years old, so still
they're not
relatively
building any, they don't have enough land, so it's like a very tight product. It's almost like the safest bet you can make. The demand's always there.
And all good decisions. Dan, service and community leadership are a big part of your life, okay? So how do those values influence the way you work with clients? You're a family man, you live in the suburbs, all these things are important to you. How does it affect, the people you work with? Sellers, buyers, renters, whomever.
Yeah, absolutely. So the two words that come to mind with that when I think about it are stewardship and authenticity. When you show up for any of these nonprofit boards or these university boards, so for those of you that don't know, I'm on the Duke Alumni Board of Directors, and I'm the national co-chair of the Duke Jewish Alumni Board and the LGBTQ plus alumni boards. And so I think part of that is coming to the table, having authentic conversations, helping people understand that we have to be ethically above board in all the decisions that we make, and sometimes having conversations that are difficult, which might not benefit me in the long term, but might benefit my clients in the long term. And that is always the way we have to operate and how we have to think about it in this business.
In our busy world, fast life, as you said earlier on, to make time for all of those other organizations is really kind of important, and it says a lot about you. So thank you for your time or service in those areas. Teresa, you founded the Marketing New York City Home I feel like I'm talking to superstars here. This is quite amazing. The New York City Home Collective, and expanded into social platforms. How has building this media-forward brand changed the way clients look at you, want to engage with you, even talk with you?
I take it back to I wasn't born in the 80s, but I hear all the time that when you used to sell a piece of real estate, you used to go into an office, go through a binder of actual paper, thumb through listings. And so there was this kind of corralling of information. And then once the .com boom and we had the internet, we have an MLS and RLS, we have this flexibility of being able to expose a listing to the masses and get as many eyeballs on it and as many offers as possible. And so not only with the internet, but also with social media being such an empowering tool that not that many people tap into, I'm always utilizing social media, Instagram, YouTube, my newsletter, physically getting on the phone and calling people, texting people. All of these resources are basically a wide web that we can cast. And there's a ripple effect that I see when you take a listing. It's not just photos and making a piece of paper and printing it. There's a multi-platform marketing a solution that you should tap into to really give your client the best exposure. And so we focus on our pitch, we focus on our actual, when we're in the middle of selling the property, we focus on showing our clients how we're actually getting the word out with these multiple channels and kind of producing it all, just like this podcast. Like, you got to think about it in a strategic matter and produce things across every medium as possible.
Absolutely, very important. So we're going to come right back after a quick message. Don't go anywhere. This is Talking New York Real Estate on the More Network. Be right back.
This podcast is supported by the More Network, powered by Brown Harris Stevens. Real estate touches every aspect of our lives, from design and architecture to investing and the economy. Now there's a way to get all your real estate information in one place. The More Network. With more than 20 podcast and webcast series, the Mastery of Real Estate Network is powered by Brown Harris Stevens, one of the country's most distinguished brokerages. Discover advice from notable entrepreneurs, compelling topics, and access to top global real estate experts. Subscribe to their YouTube and Apple podcast channels by visiting getmorenetwork.com.
Okay, everybody, we are back. Dan, I wanted to ask you, so you live and you raise your family in the community you serve. So we know that's Westport, Connecticut, and the surrounding area, right? So how does that personal stake shape the advice that you give your buyers and sellers and all the people you talk to with regard to real estate?
Yeah. Thanks, Vince. It's essential. I'm a member of the community. My kids are going to school in the community. I'm living and walking the same streets as people in the community. We're investing in the same schools and our local community centers. For me, it's deeply personal. And so I want to make sure that all of the people that I am bringing into the community feel like they're integrated and that they have a place to call home and that they are meeting other people. And some of that is involved in introducing them to local organizations and people where they can get involved and feel like they're making a difference. I'm deeply involved in the New Canaan Nature Center, organizing all the social events for there. I'm, on the parent committee for Temple Israel. For me, it's very important to make sure that my clients feel like they can be a part of the community and that they have a sense of belonging, and that is long beyond
Sense of belonging, that's important.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's long beyond the closing table. For me, it's making sure that everyone feels like they have a place to call home.
It's interesting. I 100% agree with you. And again, when I'm teaching, or even a lot on this podcast, every week, we talk about the difference between relationship agents and transactional agents, right? And I get the sense clearly that you two are definitely relationship oriented, because what that actually does for us as agents is gives us referral business. If you delight somebody, if you like somebody, if they like you back, you're going to get more business from them. That's really the way it works. So the transactional agents out there are, whatever, and they don't get that business back. And they sit back sometimes and they wonder, well, why is that? I don't understand what's happening. What's happening? They don't like you.
Exactly.
Period. Teresa, you work across Manhattan, Brooklyn, Long Island City, Astoria, even a little bit into Westchester. That's a wow, okay, right there. What are you seeing right now from clients weighing in and the city versus the suburbs, weekend houses versus a real good investment to maybe live in?
Sure.
What is your sense of what is happening out there in the buyer world today?
So the way I'm able to kind of scale and go across all those neighborhoods is thanks to my partner, Laura Willoughby. And I would say having one foot in New York City and also one foot in Westchester. I also have a partner in Westchester. Her name is Amy. We're seeing right now, there's a certain demographic that's obviously more primed to wanting to move to the suburbs. I think it's really the family demographic. But then you're also seeing people who, if they've had some upward mobility in their career and they're having a lot of increases in income and they're in certain industries like tech, they have the money to purchase and maybe dive in and buy that dream apartment in the city. And so I don't think there's really like a huge diaspora to the suburbs like there was during the pandemic. I think we're kind of like equalized and people are just making individual decisions whether they want to be closer to either work or to hospitals or to some certain centerfold for their personal lifestyles and needs. I would say, Manhattan is kind of like the center of the world, but then other neighborhoods in like Astoria or parts of Brooklyn where there's new development and new maybe boutique condos, that kind of pushes people's curiosity to wanting to explore. And I go wherever the client wants to go, and I'm always seeing the inventory once a week when you do new development tours, because you have to see what is trending and what is attractive for people, whether it's price points or design trends. And people, they'll go wherever they find that they can be close to work, it's affordable for their particular lifestyles, whether they're retiring or just starting their career, and we kind of create the right package for them.
And I think the trend has changed a little bit too, where people don't mind commuting a little bit more than ever before. When I moved into the city, I moved in from Westchester and I moved into Manhattan because I worked in Manhattan. I don't want to commute anywhere. I want to get on a quick train, a quick bus, whatever it was, walk. But now people are like, okay, so if I have to come in from Long Island City, if I have to come in from Astoria or Brooklyn, anywhere, or even the suburbs, it's okay. Why do you think that is?
Yeah, I mean, I think that there are a lot of people that are placing lifestyle and the opportunity to have a place, to have a yard, and to raise the kids out in suburbia of utmost importance. You're not sacrificing in a lot of these places,
Right.
Westport, Wilton, Greenwich, Darien, Fairfield. You're still a stone throw away from the city.
And honestly, it's a more civilized commute. Like even Southern Westchester, you get on Metro North, you have these big cushiony seats. It's temperature controlled. You don't have you're not underground in the tunnels. It's
You get
not a
to
bad
look
commute.
at your
30
emails.
minutes.
I come in when I visit my family on a Monday morning. It's 43 or 44 minutes from
Right.
where I come from into Manhattan. It's like I get a lot of work
pleasant.
I love
done.
it.
Right.
I'm comfortable. I'm drinking my coffee.
Yep.
It's a wonderful thing.
It's not bad at all. And sometimes, depending on the reliability on some of those really far out Brooklyn trains, you're getting into the ccity faster and more
Oh, my
comfortably
goodness. Oh,
than if you were on a
100%.
subway line. So
Oh, absolutely.
that's like our biggest advantage, really, in the suburbs.
No, I agree. So, quick last question to both of you. In 2026, new year, very cold winter. Hopefully, it's going to end pretty soon. What are your predictions for business in general, buyers, sellers, whatever, throughout the rest of this year? Good, bad, pick up, fall back. Where do you think we're going?
Yeah, absolutely. As far as it concerns Connecticut buyers and sellers, I think that we're unfortunately in a situation where inventory continues to remain really constrained and tight. And I think that the recent snowfall that we had is not helping. There are a lot of sellers that are delaying listing right now, which is exacerbating the problem. We're seeing multiple offers. There was a home that was on in Wilton last week and it had 21 offers and going significantly above ask. And people are just chomping at the bit to find these really great move-in ready homes. And, I foresee maybe 1 or 2 interest rate cuts this year, moving us more towards neutral,
Right.
which could make affordability a little bit better, which will only make the price appreciation, even more intense in the Connecticut area.
Are you seeing more cash deals in your neck of the woods or more financing? Because, one of the
Yeah.
problems we've had in a stalled market here in Manhattan, or in New York City rather, has been the interest rates for a couple of years. It seems to be getting a little better, but are you suffering from that interest rate dilemma in Connecticut, or are they more cash deals?
Yeah, I would say historically significant number of cash deals. And so whether it's truly a cash deal or not, people are waiving all of their contingencies to make it a cash deal. Smaller side on financing, and less, I would say there's less, people are less constrained by financing risk at this point in time. But that being said, it really comes down to homes that are ready to go, that are move-in ready or low lift, things that are not priced right, that need a lot of work. They're going to sit.
Right. How
I'm
about you,
going to go out
Teresa?
on a whim and I'm going to say this year, 2026, is going to be the year of the co-op. Okay, I see a lot of people, they have sticker shock when it comes to these new development condos. I think there's a really great value when you look at a co-op that needs a lot of work, whether it's got linoleum tiles and Formica countertops. Somebody can go in there, they can beat out the competition who's scared to get their hands dirty and do renovations. They can customize it. You have a wholesale larger floor plan than you would get in a condo. And I think there's going to be a lot of buyers who are intrigued by co-ops and going to dive into renovating and making them their own. I do think for sellers, there's still this turnover. I'm seeing a lot of homes being held back because they have such great low interest rates and they're scared to kind of give them up because they have nowhere else to trade in and buy after they sell and cash out. So I think there's going to be this little bit of a tug of war. Rates are kind of staying stagnant. There's really nothing to incentivize them to sell. But once again, life cycle will motivate people to either sell. Maybe we have that Florida people retiring wanting to go to Florida. Maybe that will be an older demographic who's moving out of the city, that those properties come to the surface and then those will transact if they're condos. And
Same question to you. More cash, finance?
I'm seeing the
split.
last.
I think our CEO Bess recently said something like 67% of the deals last year were all cash. That's a
Yeah.
big percentage,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, I mean, the last 3 transactions I did, one was 100% cash at 3.2, and the other one was a first-time home buyer at 50% down, and they got family help. So I think there's cash out there to either increase on a down payment or just buy all outright in cash. But I'll tell you, all my mortgage banker colleagues, they're desperate. They're always like, got anybody I could pre-approve? You have anybody who wants to take out a mortgage? They're feeling it because the rates, people are holding back.
Oh, absolutely. Next week, I think one of the shows we're doing in studio is the total cost of ownership. When you buy something, what is the real cost? We have an attorney on, a mortgage broker, and 2 very experienced real estate agents. So I'm going to listen, I learn something every time I do this show. So I'm interested to hear their perspective on what it really means to own something in New York City in 2026. All right, Teresa Alessandro, Dan McCambelau, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for coming to Brown Harris Stevens. We will be back with more right after these messages.
Hi, it's Stephen Bailey from Roadway Moving and Storage. Listening to Vince Rocco, you know the right partner makes all the difference. At Roadway, we deliver an experience your clients will love. For specialized services and white glove care, choose Roadway. Want to learn more? Email me at stephen@roadwaymoving.com or visit roadwaymoving.com.